So what I did is I went back and I sold everything. And I started going to the gym, getting myself together, taking that time from doing that and started getting my health together. And I ended up losing 100 pounds. So I said, okay, I'm going to come over and I'm going to sleep on my brother's floor because he had a house at the time and he had an extra bedroom that he used for storage. So I took a camping mat and a blanket and I slept on his floor there for I don't know, probably 3 or 4 months.
This is the Maverick Show, where you'll meet today's most interesting real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and world travelers, and learn the strategies and tactics they use to succeed. And now, here's your host, Matt Bowles.
Hey everybody, it's Matt Bowles, and today we have Nick Nimmin, who helps individuals and companies grow their influence with online video. On his personal channel, where he shares growth tips for YouTube video creators, he has increased his own subscriber base by over 100,000 subscribers in the past 12 months alone, and he's added tens of thousands of targeted readers to his email list and turned his website, tubertools.com, into a growing resource for the video making community. In addition to his personal successes, Nick has helped clients leverage YouTube as a positioning and awareness tool, helped them turn YouTube into a consistent lead generator, and has helped clients turn the passion of making videos into a full-time income source. Also, Nick has lived in Chiang Mai, Thailand for more than a decade, and he and I are in Thailand together right now. We both were just speaking at the Nomad Summit, which brings together over 400 location-independent entrepreneurs or digital nomads under one roof once a year in Thailand. So we had the great opportunity to get to hang out with each other as speakers at that conference, get to know each other. And I immediately, after hearing Nick's talk and getting to know him, wanted to bring him on the show to share both his expertise on YouTube as well as some of his incredible life experiences with the show. So Nick, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Now, we need to start by going way back. You just told me, literally as we were doing an audio check, that you once opened a concert for Two Live Crew, and that you were in hip hop, in the hip hop and rap space back in Cincinnati, Ohio, before your Thailand days. So I want to start and go back there because I also was a hip hop DJ during the 90s. Absolutely.
Oh, nice.
So 90s hip hop is, near and dear to my heart. I mean, it's part of my, my heart and soul. And so that was a huge thing. Also, kind of putting down beats for people that wanted to rhyme over them, but making mixtapes. And then I actually turned that into my first business.
Nice.
So what I did is I started then DJing. So I built a mobile DJ company when I was in high school. And I started DJing high school proms. I started DJing weddings and that kind of stuff. So by the time I was a junior in high school, I was DJing senior proms at other high schools. And then my senior year, I was DJing all of these senior proms at different area high schools. And then when I went away to college, I would come back in the summertime, and the summertime was the circuit for high school proms and then weddings and all of that kind of stuff. So I sort of made a mainstream business out of it. But my love, of course, and what got me into it was, of course, hip hop, and particularly in the 90s, right? So I want to hear your story about how you got into it and then what led to this this opening for Two Live Crew. So tell that story.
Nice. So first, I want to say, maybe those are the indicators of why we were both on stage recently.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we're just into that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
So basically what happened is, similar to you, I would make instrumentals, right? I got into digital music and I started making hip hop beats. And a friend of mine had some friends that were rappers. They started coming over and listening to the songs, and they really liked what I was making. So I went out and got a microphone, and they came over and started actually recording. So then I started, producing actual songs for these guys. And then, of course, more and more people started coming and all that. Foolishly, I didn't make a business out of it, but I should have at the time. But what I did get to do, like you mentioned, is I got to open for Two Live Crew because of, doing that. So basically how it worked was the Two Live Crew came to town, and the person that was promoting it knew somebody that knew the guys that I made the music for. And that opening band had an issue where they couldn't make it or whatever, and they reached out to them, said, hey, you guys, are already, kind of on the circuit, so to speak. So do you guys want to open for Two Live Crew? And they're like, yes, absolutely. Now, keep in mind, they're like a local band. They weren't doing this professionally, so to speak. So one of the guys couldn't get off work in order to open for Two Live Crew. Personally, I would have been like, hey, boss, I'm leaving. You know what I mean? Like, fire me, whatever you want to do. I'll find another job.
Right.
But, for him, it was a good job. And he was like, hey, I just can't do it. So they asked me, since I produced the song, I knew word for word, the whole thing. So they asked me if I would go in and fill in for him, and that gave me the opportunity to be a part of that opening thing. It was for one song for Two Live Crew for me personally.
But you got to meet Luke Skywalker and the guys,
yes.
and you got to be backstage and part of the whole production and all that kind of stuff. Amazing. And how did that feel being in front of that size of an audience and everything?
It was cool. And keep in mind, this was, Two Live Crew wasn't at their peak then.
Right.
They had already, they had already had their thing and then, started dying off. So it wasn't, a humongous audience, but at the time it was the biggest audience that I'd ever stood in front of. So it was fun. It was scary. It was intimidating. I was nervous, all of that good stuff that comes along with that. But it was cool.
And maybe was the forerunner to your stage presence and your video presence and,
sure.
All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So take us
all roads lead to Rome, right?
They
That's what
do
they say.
indeed.
Yeah.
That's right. So take us a little bit more on that journey in terms of what brought you, what you were doing, sort of your entrepreneurial trajectory. I mean, you're pretty much been a serial entrepreneur for most of your adult life.
Yes.
So take us down that trajectory, and then what led you to Thailand and to where you are now.
Okay. So I first started working on myself or for myself in some capacity when I was 19. I have done a bunch of different businesses. I did a pooper scooper business to where we went out and we were picking up, dog crap around the area. And the idea was we'll do it first and then we'll hire people. But then after a few weeks, we were like, what are we doing? We need to do something else. But we did that. We had a commercial, or I had a commercial cleaning service where we did office buildings. That was pretty successful. I had a door-to-door marketing company for 10 years. I also did a advertising service where we basically would go to hotels and we would offer them to do their in-room guest directories for free in exchange for letting us sell all the advertising and make the money from the advertising for that. So I've done a handful of things, that kind of propelled me in this direction. But one thing that happened is I got out of a relationship, towards the end of that. At the time, I was actually running the cleaning company and the marketing company side by side. And as far as like my video presence, I would lean most of that on what I learned from going door to door also. But basically, I got out of a relationship and I was having a difficult time with it, as often happens when people get out of long-term relationships.
Sure.
And my brother, who was already living here in Thailand, reached out to me and he said, "Hey, if you want to take some time," he said, if you can hand off everything to your partner and take a month and come over here and just hang out, clear your mind. He's like, "I guarantee you'll feel much better when you go back." He said, "I want you to come over here so bad and take this break because I think it's so important that I'll actually finance the whole trip, all expense paid trip." Or all expense paid ticket, trip. You don't have to bring $1. I'll cover the whole thing because it's that important for me to get you over here so that you can, feel better.
Amazing.
Right? Because that's how my brother and I roll.
That's
right.
Amazing.
So it's like, we have an awesome relationship.
Who's going to turn that down? That's
right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I came over here for that month, and we went all over the country, and I was just blown away by the country. And I started talking to him saying, this is fantastic. And, I would love to live here as well because I was into the lifestyle. I was like, man, this is just great. But, I have all this stuff back home and, it's kind of locked me in there. And he's like, hey, if you want to come over here, because he was doing professional graphic design at the time. And he said, hey, if you come over here, then I will help you, start getting into that, and you can start doing that as well. He said you probably won't make as much, but it will give you the opportunity to live this lifestyle if that's something that you want to do. And at the time, another side effect of this, at the time, I was really overweight. Like very overweight because I was working so much. Like I said, I was running the cleaning company and the marketing company side by side. So I ended up getting up to 280 pounds. So I was, just not taking care of myself in any way, shape, or form. And so what I did is I went back and I sold everything. and I started going to the gym, getting myself together, taking that time from doing that, and started getting my health together. And during that process, he started teaching me how to get customers. He started funneling customers my way. And as far as the graphic design is concerned, like I was playing with Photoshop in high school. Like I learned how to use Photoshop in high school back when it was Photoshop, before they had all these addition numbers, you know, and all that stuff. But I was playing with Photoshop in high school, and it was kind of like a passion of mine to do just graphic design and that kind of stuff. And I was always doing all the graphics for any project that I was working on and things along that line, or along those lines as well. And but I went back, sold everything, and then started the process of making that transition over to here. And how that happened is I ended up losing 100 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, almost all of that was before I came. I think it was like 80-something pounds before I came here, and then the rest fell off, you know, once I got here. Well, it didn't fall off, but I exercised it off once I got here. And the graphic design thing had started, but, you know, in all honesty, it wasn't enough to sustain me. Thailand's cheap, but there's also the, you know, like if you come from the Western world and you don't want to make the sacrifices of living in like a, you know, $100 a month apartment, so to speak, then, you know, you definitely have to make some additional sacrifices somewhere. So what I did is I came over, and I didn't want to dig into savings or anything like that. So I said, okay, I'm going to come over and I'm going to sleep on my brother's floor, because he had a house at the time, and he had an extra bedroom that he used for storage. So I took a camping mat and a blanket, and I slept on his floor there for I don't know, probably 3 or 4 months. Before I went and got my first apartment here, which is like 5,000 baht, which is still like $150, right? But at the time, $150 took you a little bit further than it does now here in Thailand. But you know, I got that first apartment, and then it just kind of, you know, rebuilt everything from there.
That is amazing. And the story actually resonates with me because of a lot of the people that I was just speaking to at this Nomad Summit, right? And so people would just come up to me and start talking to me, and I would ask them questions. Where are you from? How long have you been here? This kind of stuff. And it was amazing. I mean, there were a number of people that had come to Chiang Mai just recently. I mean, just within the last week or two, and had come for the summit and were planning to stay, you know, and they said, I had heard about Chiang Mai, which for people that don't know is one of the top, if not the top sort of hub in the world for digital nomads and location-independent business owners. The community here is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, from people all over the world that are here doing interesting things and networks, and the way they have the community set up, it's quite incredible. And so a lot of people, I think, hear about it, and then they just want to come here, and then they get here. They may not have much money at all, but they found a way to get to Chiang Mai, and now they're going to try to make something work. And a lot of people were at that early stage. They were like, well, I'm not really sure. I have a couple business ideas, but I just wanted to get to Chiang Mai so I could plug into the community, you know, and then I could have a supportive environment to build my business, because people were coming from a lot of places, and they were saying, listen, I don't know anybody in my circles that supports the type of lifestyle that I want, that supports the type of entrepreneurial path that I'm looking for, but I listened to podcasts and I heard about Chiang Mai. So I'm here to basically be a part of the community and build my business in a supportive environment, which just blew me away how many people had that type of a story.
Yeah. It's crazy because, you know, there's the risk involved of just leaving your country and everything that you know in the first place. There's that side of it. But on the back end of that, you know, for the people that are coming over and they don't know what direction it is that they're going to go yet, it's terrifying. Because, you know, you come over and you don't know, you know, hey, am I gonna be able to make this work or not? You know, you don't know if you're gonna end up being able to be here for 6 months, if you're gonna be able to be here for a year before you end up having to go back. And that's the big one, is that fear of having to go back and not being able to pursue what it is that you initially set out for. But, you know, the same thing applies. You know, like if you are an entrepreneur in any capacity, you know, even if you're in the same hometown that you grew up in and you're still taking these entrepreneurial ventures, those fears are still there in terms of like, hey, what if this doesn't work out? Then I have to go back and get a job, right? So it's similar in that regard. But the difference here is, or anywhere, if you move outside of your country, the difference here is, okay, if the business isn't doing great and you're back home, you can go get a job to supplement if you want, right? But here, if business isn't good, you're going home. And then you're going to have to figure it out once you get there. You know, it's not like you can just go and find some part-time job to work while you're building your business. You're either like all in or you're on your way back. One of the two.
Although I think the risk mitigation aspect of coming here that a lot of people find is how much lower the lifestyle expenses are.
Absolutely.
And the living expenses. And so the amount of income you need to make from your business to cover your living expenses is a much lower threshold than if you were living in LA or New York or
absolutely.
San Francisco or wherever.
Or even in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle, any place
cheaper.
in the United States. Or the UK or Western Europe or anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, and can you give people a sense of that, Nick? Because you sort of mentioned a number really quick in passing, but a lot of folks, if they haven't been to Thailand or maybe they haven't been to the region, maybe this is the first they're hearing about Chiang Mai in general as a city, can you give just a sense of the cost of living over here compared to the United States, just so that people have a sense of that?
Well, first I want to say that since I've been over here for 11 years, when I go back to the States, I'm just blown away at how much money I burn through.
Yeah.
Just doing just like day-to-day stuff, like, hey, I'm going to take my mom to go eat.
Yeah.
And then, it's like, wow, there goes $40.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, over here, you can be comfortable. I mean, we all have different expectations, but you can be comfortable on roughly $1,000. But if you have $2,000 to spend,
say that means $1,000 per
month. Yeah, $1,000 per month. You can be comfortable. So basically, like you can get a room for, let's say, 10,000 baht. That's $300. Right?
$300 a month.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's a comfortable studio.
Right.
That's a comfortable studio.
Apartment.
You have air conditioning.
Yeah.
You're in a safe building to where, maybe you're a few floors up. You don't have to worry about anybody breaking into your place or anything like that. You have, most likely for that price range, you're looking at, you might have like a small kitchen included. Like as an example, a studio that we built here, we pay 10,000 baht a month for that, which is roughly $300. In that room, I'm not sure the actual space, but comparatively, it's the size of probably 2 bedrooms in Cincinnati, just for the reference, since this is a real estate show, they might know what I'm talking about here. But about the size of a 2-bedroom house in Cincinnati that would cost probably like $150,000. Okay, it's about that size. For that space that we get for $300, and in that is included a small kitchen, a refrigerator, and a TV, and it also comes furnished, which is something that doesn't happen a lot back home either. So you don't have to go out and get this place and then go out and buy sofas and beds and all that stuff. It comes with everything. So that particular space here would be as a single person coming over here, it's all you need.
For sure.
All you need without question.
For sure, yeah. And these are comfortable, spacious studios, that you would get in the U.S. comparably for $300 a month for a nice studio apartment. Okay, so there's that. And then when we talk about food, and I've been here for about 3 weeks now, and we're talking about you go out to a nice Thai restaurant, a entree, seafood entree, like a shrimp curry with rice type of entree, $2 to $3 is about the price of a nice seafood entree for really good Thai food.
Yeah.
Which is to say that I have been eating a lot of really good Thai food. But it's like everything, right? Massages, Thai massages, a 60-minute Thai massage.
That alone is worth living here.
$8 for a 60-minute professional Thai massage. I mean, it is just unbelievable. The cost of living over here is incredible. And so, I think a lot of the attraction, is lifestyle arbitrage, right? As it's known. So if you can generate income, based on US dollars or UK or euros or whatever it is, but you have this kind of overhead, that helps a lot of entrepreneurs not have such a high threshold of needing to make, X number of dollars to cover basic living expenses. They can just lower their living expenses and have an amazing quality of life. I mean, I think that's, for me, what stands out about Chiang Mai is the cost of living to quality of life ratio.
Yeah.
Right? Because I've been to a number of countries that are very cheap, but they do not have the quality of life of Chiang Mai.
Yeah, the life is cheap too.
This city has incredibly beautiful weather, but it has a coffee shop culture, an independent coffee shop culture on par with any Western European capital city, in my opinion. I mean, it's the coffee scene here is unbelievable. I mean, the restaurant scene, it has all of that, and yet it is unbelievably inexpensive.
And on the coffee scene, they even take it up a notch because it's like local beans. I mean, of course they have Starbucks and all of that, but they also, you know, like a lot of the cafes around here, you know, it's like local beans that are pulled in from like local mountains and all that stuff. So you're getting like fresh stuff that it's fantastic.
It's amazing. And so that sort of, I think, encompasses a lot about Chiang Mai and why there's such an incredible community here. So you've been here a number of years. You're obviously staying here. You love it here. And I can absolutely see why. Most of the people that I talk to are like, man, I hope I don't ever have to leave this place. I'm here. And now I'm going to stay. It's like a vortex. It's amazing. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about now, you know, what you're doing and what you're sort of primarily known for. I mean, you have really developed, you know, I think a number of incredible techniques for YouTube, you know, and online video content creation in general that have propelled you, I mean, particularly over the last couple of years, into a very prominent, you know, sort of well-known space in the YouTube tips, you know, sort of category. You've grown your personal YouTube channel over 100,000 subscribers in a single year.
Yes.
And I want to talk a little bit about both how you did it, but even more importantly, how other people can do it. So let's maybe talk in general about some of the tips that you would have. Let's say someone is either starting from scratch or they've dabbled a little bit, maybe done a little bit of YouTube stuff, video creation, but they haven't really taken it very seriously. Talk about, maybe let's start with, what are some of the core tips if someone wanted to create a plan for really growing audience? And this is for people that are in any business, right? That want to grow an audience by delivering value through YouTube. What is the best way to get viewers and get audience and build a fan base through video?
The first thing is, you mentioned for people that want to take it serious, right?
Yeah.
The first thing is to take it serious.
Right.
Because just like with anything that you do, if you're a blogger, if you are a podcaster, if you are putting videos on the internet, or if you have a business that you're running, you have things that you have to do consistently in order to make the machine work on your behalf. Right? YouTube is exactly the same. So first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're taking it seriously. The second most important thing that you want to keep in mind on YouTube is that you are keeping watch time in mind. Watch time on YouTube is basically the amount of time that people watch each single video. Okay, it's also the amount of time that people watch additional videos on the platform, preferably your videos specifically. So there's watch time, which is like on a per video basis, and then there's session time, which is on a per session basis, which basically means it's like technical jargon for the amount of time people spend on YouTube, okay, and the amount of time people spend within your own content. So what you want to focus on, the most important thing that you need to focus on is, one, your audience retention. So you need to be able to keep people watching your videos. Like if somebody comes in, and let's say you have a 10-minute video, and somebody comes into your video and they watch a minute of your video and they leave. That video is not performing for you in a way that's going to help your channel or that's going to help you on the platform. However, if you make a 10-minute video and people are typically watching 5 minutes of that video or 6 minutes of that video, then you're going to start getting preference on the platform. YouTube can help or will start promoting your channel internally on the platform as well.
Yeah, no, so make good content that is going to keep the viewer watching throughout the entire video and not have them lose interest. So make it tight so they don't get bored, but make it long enough so that they'll watch through and you'll get a decent amount of watch time. What would be the optimal length, would you say, for making videos on YouTube that YouTube wants to see?
There was a study done last year that studied over 70,000 channels, over 50,000 subscribers, and that study showed that videos that are 7 to 17 minutes in length tend to perform best on the platform. Now, with that said, all of this, when it comes to data like that, all of it, that's like a blanket statement, okay? But on a per channel basis, sometimes you'll have videos that you make that are 3 minutes that outperform videos that are 10 minutes, okay? Because it comes down to the watch time, but it also comes down to how people are interacting with the content as well. If you are ranking your videos for search, it also comes down to, you know, what terms that you're actually going for to pull in traffic and things like that. And it also comes down to your thumbnails in terms of how you can actually pull people from the suggested features elsewhere on YouTube. So there's other variables besides the watch time, but that's the thing that gives your channel and your videos the authority, so to speak, on YouTube, so that the platform itself can start suggesting you elsewhere on the platform.
And is it a total number of minutes watch time, or is it a percentage through the video? So if you make a 3-minute video and people are watching all 3 minutes of the video, or if you make a 8-minute video and people are watching 4 minutes out of the 8-minute video,
4 minutes wins.
You get the 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
4 minutes wins. Now, the percentage comes in when you are looking at the people that you're ranking against.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say that you have, like, if you can imagine, and really quick for anybody listening to this right now, you might be thinking, how in the world can I tell how long people are watching my videos? How in the world can I tell what's working and what's not? I just want to let you know that YouTube inside of their analytics has an audience retention report, and you can see second per second how people are actually responding to your content. So that's how you know that information. But let's say, as an example, that you have a bunch of videos over in the suggested sidebar while you're watching one video. So basically how that works, let's say that you have one video in the suggested sidebar that the thumbnail is getting a higher click-through rate than you. Then because they are getting a higher click-through rate on their thumbnail, if their video is performing better, they're going to put that video in a better spot than what your video is in. But if their thumbnail is getting a higher click-through rate, but your video is outperforming them, then they're going to move you up because you're actually keeping people on the platform longer.
Got it.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So in that regard, the reason that it's important to not make just a bunch of 1-minute videos is because you want to accumulate that time per video so that you can outrank other people and be suggested over people or other people. So if you have a 3-minute video and people watch 100% of that, the most watch time that you can get per viewer is 3 minutes. But if you make an 8-minute video and people are watching just half of it, then that still gives you the opportunity to get 4 minutes of watch time per video, which all of that watch time credits the authority on your channel, so to speak, which can give you that overall lift.
Okay, so let's take a step back and look at, let me ask a more macro question.
Okay.
Why should a business owner or an entrepreneur or a real estate agent or, a self-employed person start a YouTube channel, do a YouTube show? Why should they do that on YouTube? Why should they use the medium of video?
There are over 1 billion users on YouTube. Okay. There are over 1 billion users on YouTube. And in addition to there being over 1 billion users on YouTube, when you're watching videos, subconsciously and consciously, you're getting to know the person that you're watching their videos. So like, let's say that you are a real estate professional, maybe somebody listening to the show. Let's say you're a real estate professional. This comes in extremely valuable for you because in addition to, all of the other marketing efforts that you're doing that you can also use your videos in, but in addition to all of those other marketing efforts, basically what you're doing is you're letting people know your expertise. You're letting people know the nuances of your personality, because what happens is there's something called, that I spoke about at the event, there's something called parasocial interaction. With parasocial interaction, that's basically the idea of a one-sided relationship. And that happens to celebrities, that happens on YouTube, to where basically when you are watching a channel consistently, you start to feel like you know that person that's in the video, because over time, hey, they mentioned that they're going through this. They mentioned that they just sold this house. They mentioned that they just did this particular thing. Then you start to be involved with what's going on in the information that they're sharing. So with that, you actually start to develop a one-sided relationship with that person, even though they may have never had any type of interaction with you whatsoever outside of maybe a comment on their YouTube channel or something like that. So in addition to sharing your expertise, sharing what it is that you know, you're also using YouTube as something that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, around the clock, building relationships for you. And if you're doing any type of business, especially real estate or something like that, then that relationship side of things is humongous.
Okay, so let's say that someone is a real estate agent in a particular city, and they want to use YouTube and they want to use video content to, really just, dominate their market and use that as their medium for, accelerating beyond their competitors, let's say. And they came to you and they said that they haven't done YouTube before. Maybe they don't have a channel at all. They want to start a channel and they want to grow it as efficiently and quickly as possible around their area of expertise, right? Which is being a real estate agent in this particular market. What advice would you have from the start? Somebody says, Nick, I'm ready to take it seriously. I'm going to commit to it. I'm an expert on, real estate in my local market. That's certainly my area of expertise. So I have the knowledge. I'm willing to take it seriously. What do I do, from start to 0 to 60? What are my moves to get this off the ground?
You want to make the initial content that you're launching on your channel, you want to make it all around series playlists. Series playlists on YouTube, like they have two different types of playlists. They have a normal playlist, they have a series playlist. A normal playlist is basically just a way that you can organize your content. It's a way that you can organize your own content and a way that you can also organize content of other people that you may be interested in. You can display that on your channel, or you can just have it on your playlist page to where, it's a grouping of videos, right? A series playlist is where you are telling YouTube, it's actually just a checkbox that you check, and you're telling YouTube these videos are all directly related to each other in some way. Okay, every video in this playlist is directly related to each other. So what they do is they let you put each video into one series playlist. So you can't do multiple series playlists, but you can put multiple videos into multiple playlists. Okay, so that leans on the power of the series playlist. Okay, so how that works is basically when you have a video playing on the watch page that is part of this series, then YouTube is going to suggest the other videos in that series or some of the other videos in that series to the people that are watching that video. So you're going to see that video at the end, or other videos in that series at the end of the video after all of your stuff is finished playing. Those other videos in the series playlist are more likely to autoplay next, which is the default setting on YouTube, and those other videos are more likely to be suggested next to that video in the suggested sidebar as well. So what you do when you create the videos in a series playlist is, in addition to putting up the videos and increasing that watch time because you're creating an actual series that people are more likely to binge watch, you're also increasing the chances of them going deeper into your own content through all of those other features that YouTube is suggesting you through.
Okay, and let's talk specifically, again, advising someone who's just starting off with this. What frequency, how often do they want to publish content? What duration should those videos be? And any other sort of tips for, kind of getting out of the gate and developing. If someone's going to develop a content calendar and they were going to say, I really want to do this plan and I want to grow consistently and efficiently, what should that content calendar look like?
If you're trying to be somebody that is full-time on YouTube and you're trying to be somebody that is, doing it in that regard, uploading 3 times a week is the best way to get rapid growth. Actually, daily is the best way to get rapid growth, because the more that you upload, the more the algorithm favors you, right? As long as people are responding to your content. If you're a business owner, you also have your business to run, so you have to keep that in mind as well. But what you want to do is you want to upload at least once a week. If you can do 2 or 3 times, then that's a bonus, but at least once a week. And the reason for that is because YouTube serves your content to other viewers based on their viewing history, right? So if you are in their viewing history, or the more that you're in somebody's viewing history, the more likely you are to be served to people with similar viewing histories to that person that's watching your content. So if you're uploading 3 times a week and they're suggesting you to all of these new viewers, then basically you're getting embedded in their viewer history as a recent video, something that they're currently interested in, right? So the more that you upload, you're in their recent viewer history. Therefore, that allows you the ability, so to speak, or the opportunity to be suggested to other viewers with similar watch histories of those people that are watching your videos.
Okay, and 3 times a week may sound, I don't know if that sounds like a lot to some people, but basically if you're
a lot.
If you're just
a lot.
But if you're just talking about a 5 to 7 minute video,
yeah,
right? And the person who's recording it, right, let's say the real estate agent in our example, they're already an expert on their market. I mean, they can talk about this stuff off the top of their head in the way that you can talk about this stuff off the top of your head or whatever, right? So if you already know your subject matter and you're just speaking about a particular aspect of it for 5 to 7 minutes with the camera on, in theory, you could just batch that.
Without question. That's actually not even in theory. I mean, that's the most efficient way to create content.
Right.
Is to batch produce it. Because what happens is, if you say, okay, I'm going to upload a video every Friday, right? Then what happens is, if you're not batch producing content or you're not making content ahead of schedule, then what happens is Wednesday rolls along and you're like, oh crap, I need to make a video for Friday, right? And then it becomes an issue. It becomes something that is more of a strain on you instead of something that you're leveraging to your benefit. So batch producing content to where you sit down once a month and knock out, 4 videos if you're doing weekly, 8 videos if you're doing twice a week, or 12 videos if you're doing 3 times a week. If you go ahead and knock those out in a session, then it gives you all of that space over the course of the month to where you don't even have to think about it.
Right. And so even if you were doing 3 times a week, that's 12 videos a month, which you could sit down in an afternoon if they're 5-minute videos.
Yes.
And you know what they are, and you're an expert in your issue, and you can speak about them, or you've outlined or scripted them briefly, and and you can just knock them all out in one afternoon. So if you can schedule one afternoon a month, then you can have that 3 video schedule.
Yes, without question. And of course, on the backside of that, there's also the edit. So, if you're, let's say that you are a real estate professional, you might want to outsource your editing or something like that so that you can continue focusing on what it is that you're good at, because there is a learning curve typically that comes with editing and all of that, and processing audio and all of that. So if you want to just focus on your business and only use YouTube as a marketing tool, then find somebody either on your team or find somebody that you can outsource the editing to.
Right. And if you don't have someone on your team, Upwork.com
Yes.
is where I find a lot of the people that I hire as independent contractors to perform various different things, because as a business owner, you want to put your time into the highest and best use of your time and where you're getting the biggest return. And so you delivering your content and you allowing your audience to build that relationship with you over video and you being out there and stuff, that is an enormously valuable use of your time.
Yeah.
You learning how to edit videos and then spending your time in the editing room and all that kind of stuff is probably not the highest and best use of your time, because again, if you're a real estate agent, you're either out selling houses, you're building relationships with clients, or you're recording videos and allowing them to you're building your expert positioning, you're building your authority, you're building your relationships with people that don't even know you yet, and so forth. So those are all very good uses of your time. The editing and that kind of minutia, you can go onto a site like Upwork, and there's a few other competing sites too. And if you're not from the US, there's others like People Per Hours in the UK, and there's other sites, all of which I have used. And you can just look, just Google for, YouTube editors or, video editors or that kind of stuff. You'll find a ton of people. And if you haven't used these sites before, you can filter by the number of hours that the person has put in on the site, the number of reviews. You can say, I only want people with 5-star reviews or whatever it is. And so, I highly recommend that for a lot of these sort of, more technical things, so that you don't have to spend your time learning it and doing it and all that.
Right. And another thing, speaking specifically to real estate agents, is one way that a lot of real estate agents use their YouTube channels is they will make videos of the houses that they are showing. And they're using YouTube as a way to, hey, I'm just going to put this house out there right on my YouTube channel. That's the worst thing that you can do with your YouTube channel as an agent. Build a different channel for your houses so that you can try to rank those houses in search and all of that. But as far as building your personal brand or building the brand of your agency for your real estate, doing that as something to where you're presenting on camera, you're sharing information, that's the real way that you want to do it. Because what happens is, let's say that somebody is watching one of your videos on your expertise because they're trying to learn what it is that you know, or they're just trying to get insight because they're getting ready to make a big purchase and they're just trying to inform themselves, right? So what happens is they watch one of your videos and they subscribe to your YouTube channel. You upload your next video as this is a house I'm showing video, right, to where it's a house tour. And what happens is when you upload new videos, when people subscribe to your channel and they click on the little notification icon, then YouTube will actually send them an email of your uploads when you upload your videos. So what happens is they send out that email, and because it's not based on the topic set that the people are interested in, because they might not care about the actual houses that you're showing yet, they care more about the information that you're sharing, so they're less likely to click on the video of your house tour because they don't care. Right? So what happens there is YouTube can tell, just like any other, email service or whatever, they can tell, hey, this email was opened, but all of these people are not clicking on it. So the people that actually subscribe to this person's channel, the people that are actually clicking on the bell notification for this channel, they don't care about what's going on in this channel. Therefore, why should the algorithm promote this channel? Because the people that are actually subscribed to this channel and actually signed up for notifications don't care about this channel either.
That's a really important tip, I think, in terms of what the content is going to be on your channel and making it high value, not selling stuff.
Yes.
I mean, that's the big thing. Not, here's my listing, I want to buy it, I'm trying to sell this, I'm trying to push this out. It's creating high value content information, and then establishing your expert positioning, establishing your authority in the market, establishing a warm, friendly personality that people trust and relate to, and all of that kind of stuff, and delivering high value content that people want to consume and they're interested in, and all of that.
Yes.
So that's what it is. Now, if someone wanted to have YouTube as a medium for also being able to show, here's a 360-degree video tour of this house, would you recommend, Nick, that be maybe a separate channel and then they have it as one of their kind of...
Yes. Without question, make it a separate channel. Add it to your channel page as a playlist,
as a playlist,
as a section.
Right?
Yeah,
because then it can stream
playlist.
through, and it can be on your channel.
Yes,
but it's not being published through your channel and going out to everybody to divert that level of interest. So you can still have it there. So when someone's on your channel and they're consuming your content, all that, go like, oh, like let me check out your listings too.
Right.
But you're not force feeding that to everybody that's going to then unsubscribe.
Yeah, and in addition to that, you know, a lot of real estate agents and a lot of just professionals that are selling anything, they think that their YouTube channel needs to only be, you know, those specific topics. But if you have like a local business, if you're selling real estate locally, like in your situation, it's a little bit different. But for local real estate agents that focus on their local area, you also might want to think about, okay, well, not only am I going to share my real estate tips to share the knowledge set that I have, but I'm also going to share, you know, hey, these are the top 10 things that that happen every year in this area that you want to make sure that you check out, right? So that basically you become not only you're not only showing your expertise on your real estate knowledge, but you're also positioning yourself as a resource for the local community on all of these other topics that are directly related to the community, in addition to just being that real estate resource. So you become like, you know, hey, I wonder what's going to be happening this month. I need to go to this person's YouTube channel and see, you know, what's coming up this month, what it is that they're talking about that's coming in the community this month.
Right. What are the biggest mistakes that you see people making on YouTube? Maybe they're putting in effort, you know, maybe they're putting in time and they're trying to do it, and they just come to you and say, Nick, I'm not getting the views, you know, my subscribership's not going up, and not just my videos, they're not getting enough people to watch them. What are some of the biggest things where you then take a look and be like, that's why, and that's why, you know, that you see people sort of mistakes that they're making?
In most cases, it comes down to improperly titling their videos, because they're titling videos based on things that they think people might be looking for instead of actually looking into seeing what people are looking for. So basically, every single video that you upload to YouTube, you want to optimize that video for search. And if you're doing it for local business, then that can be even more powerful, because the competition that you have is extremely low in terms of local business. And another way that you can actually leverage YouTube is, let's say that you are a new real estate agent and you don't have the authority yet in your area. Your website is new, so you don't have the authority in your website in terms of being able to outrank other agents in your area. YouTube, you can put up a video today, and if you optimize that video properly for search, depending on, you know, the competition in your area, if you optimize that video properly for search, you can outrank the websites that have been in your area for 10 years with that video that you uploaded 15 minutes ago.
Wow!
Right, and you can be that #1 search result as a video result, which people, you know, click on like crazy, on top of the people that have the established websites in your area.
Wow. So that I think is really important and really significant. So let me back up also a little bit and just kind of talk to you a little bit as an entrepreneur and as a business owner. Can you give us a little insight in terms of how you structure your time and you manage your time as a business owner? I mean, YouTube publications are obviously, very meticulously planned and orchestrated and that kind of stuff. But you do other stuff too. I mean, you do podcasting and you do, you have other streams of income as an entrepreneur. You do a lot of stuff. So I feel like one of the things that people struggle with, not even just new entrepreneurs, but even people that have been doing it for a while, is time management and time mastery and being able to really get themselves to focus and produce the things that are going to add the most value to the business, right? So how do you sort of, as a business owner, entrepreneur, structure your time and, make those decisions?
I structure my time based on, I'm a really big fan, and this might sound kind of counter, this is maybe against the norm a little bit, but I'm a very big fan of making sure that my happiness in the way that I'm living my life every day is a humongous priority over everything else. So because of that, I'm typically the most productive later in the evening. And when I wake up, I'm like a little bit more scattered and, like my brain just isn't there yet. So what happens is I will typically wake up, I'll meditate for 20 minutes a day. After my meditation, I'll get ready, I'll go out, I'll grab a coffee. And then while I'm grabbing a coffee, I'll do my YouTube comments. I'll be on Facebook talking to anybody that's awake over on the other side of the world that I'm working with, and making sure that things are getting done that need to be done, and then just kind of freestyle the rest of my day until it comes like evening time, and then I'll go home and then I'll sit down and do all of that. So if I have like an actual client meeting that I have to be there for, then I'll go and do that. But outside of scheduled meetings, I freestyle most of everything that I do, and I arrange it on just how I'm feeling, what it is that I want to work on, and I prioritize things based on what I want to do. Right. So I know it sounds kind of weird and maybe not the best way to do it, but for me, I mean that's I'm a really big fan of making sure that because we have a limited amount of time, so I'm a really big fan of making sure that the time that I do have is spent in a way that I enjoy, because there's no turning back.
And how do you, or how have you? I guess you have a long entrepreneurial trajectory.
Sure.
So some of this particular question may be relevant to various points along your entrepreneurial journey, and you can talk about whatever point you want. But I want to ask how you deal with stress and how you deal with, shall we say, down moments in the entrepreneurial roller coaster, which is one of the things that I talked about in my talk at Nomad Summit. And what I tell all people that are trying to get into the entrepreneurial game is, listen, there is a very real entrepreneurial roller coaster.
Yeah.
I started a real estate investment company in 2007 on the verge of the global financial collapse, which was the centerpiece of which was the U.S. real estate market, right? But certainly whatever space you're in, right? I mean, there's, it goes up and it goes down. And how have you, over the years, obviously you've been in the game a long time, dealt with those down moments in the roller coaster and high stress periods? And how are you able to kind of get through those? What techniques do you use?
In those periods, I stress out just like everybody else. I've been meditating, for like 3 years now. So for me, that definitely helps, because it helps me. And I know that it sounds kind of new agey, but it helps me just kind of keep an eye on how my brain is operating and the ways that my brain is working and thinking about things. So because of that, that helps me in terms of, hey, this particular thing that I'm working on isn't working, or it's not working as well as I would like it to, but it's not the end of the world. It's something that it's not working right now. So instead of freaking out about it, I need to figure out exactly what it is that's making it not work, figure out how to make it work, or just wrap it up, and make that decision. So it's not necessarily a process that I go through per se. It's just more about recognizing what my brain is doing in the moment and trying to, again, lean on the lifestyle or something like that in terms of, how I actually cope with downtimes.
Right. So
that was a little long-winded.
It's a really good. I mean, one of the things that I do find that a lot of highly successful or kind of peak performing people will say in interviews is that meditation is really a key to their, they do it every single day.
Yeah.
So people that are in high stress, high intensity environments, or people that are really performing at a very high level, I think that's a very consistent thing. Now, do you do a guided meditation? Do you do TM? Do you use apps like Headspace, or like, how do you do your meditation?
I have a cushion, and I'll wake up and then I'll just go sit down in there, and then I'll breathe, just mindfulness.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically I'll just sit down on my cushion, and then I basically just sit there, and then I breathe it through. I have a little timer on my phone, and then I just let that run out, and then I'm good to go. So, and I can say for anybody that doesn't do meditation, at least for me personally, and again, this sounds weird if coming, like if you don't meditate, this sounds weird, but it has literally changed the way that I perceive everything, because like we have the inner dialogue going in our heads all the time, and especially in situations to where like business is going down, or you're having like a dry spell, right? And you have all this stuff going on in your head, all this inner dialogue, to where you're making things a lot worse than they usually are. Like in your brain, your mind is saying, hey, this is the end of the world. Everything's over. This sucks. Now I'm going to end up having to go get a job. What if this doesn't work out? And you're having all of these, self-doubts that are coming into your head. But for me, what meditation has done is it's helped me be able to identify and separate myself from those thoughts. So like when those thoughts start creeping in, I can identify and say, oh, okay, well, this is just a thought that I'm having, based on, what I'm going through and how I'm feeling at this moment in time right now. So I just recognize that as a thought. Yeah, it's definitely a situation that I'm in, but it's not something that I'm going to let ruin my day, so to speak, or ruin, how I make my decisions throughout the day or how I treat other people throughout my day because this particular thing isn't working out in my life. And then that allows me to let that thought go and then actually address whatever problem it is when I'm in front of my computer, when I'm actually dealing, with the issue, instead of letting it be a monkey on my back, so to speak, throughout the whole day and influence literally my entire experience every day.
That's really significant. So if somebody wants to start learning more about meditations, I feel like one of the things that happens is, the way you described what you do, somebody might say, oh, I'm just going to jump in to try to sit down and do an unguided, meditation on my own for 20 minutes every single day. And I think what sometimes happens is, people, their mind will wander off and then they'll get disillusioned with it or frustrated, oh, I can't do that or whatever. And then they'll kind of drop the practice. So do you have a recommendation, either a resource, that someone should start with, read this or listen to this or whatever, to learn about how to do it? Or do you have a recommendation for kind of a building process? Like, where should someone who's never meditated or never done it as a serious and consistent practice, how should they start and how should they evolve into it?
The first thing, at least what got me into it, is I had always wanted to try it. And I would sit down and, like you were talking about, I would get frustrated and I would be like, this doesn't even make sense. My mind's just kind of going whatever. I expected to sit down and then my mind just kind of blank out and then, everything's okay, right? That's the expectation that I had. But I read a book called Search Inside Yourself. And that book is, I can't remember his name, but it's basically by the Google ambassador. He's the guy that when presidents come to Google or high level people go to Google, he's the guy that walks them in the front door, arranges everything, and makes them feel comfortable and all that. So he actually started he's a lifelong meditator, but he also started a program at Google for their staff as well. But basically, as part of that, he wrote this book to help, additional people. And it really demystified meditation because, initially, before I actually started practicing meditation, I looked at it as something like, hey, this is something that hippies do, or this is something that, people that are into the new agey type stuff do, or something like that. But there's actually real hard science behind what happens in your brain when you meditate. It's not a spiritual thing. It's not it can be depending on what it is that you're doing, but it's not necessarily a spiritual thing. It's not necessarily this woo woo type of thing. There's actually hard science behind it in terms of how your brain responds to meditation. And this book, not only does it share some of that information, but it also simplifies the process in terms of, in a real basic way, when you sit down, don't expect anything. Just sit down, focus on your breathing, and that's it. If your mind wanders off, that's normal. That's not a big deal. You're not doing it wrong, so to speak. You're not, hey, this isn't a bad meditation session, so to speak, because your mind wandered off. The fact that you identify that your mind wandered off and that you're able to pull it back to your breath again, you're winning. Every time you do that, you're winning. And over time, just like if you go to the gym and you're working on your muscles, every time you do that, you're basically increasing your ability to recognize those thoughts as they start taking you in the wrong direction.
Right.
Again, long-winded.
Yeah,
but,
that's a really substantive answer, though. I mean, I think that's really important, right? Because a lot of people hear oh, I'm going to meditate, or they listen to something oh, all these successful people meditate. I think I'm going to try that, and then they get frustrated, they get disillusioned, they don't do it. So it's a commitment to cultivating as a practice, right? And so I think there's that's a really significant framework for people that want to get into that. All right, are you ready for some lightning round questions?
All right, let's do it.
Now,
let me take a drink of water.
Now, your answers can be as long as you want, so don't feel like you have to give a rushed answer. These are just going to be short questions.
The lightning round.
And the first one I'm going to start with, I've never asked anyone else before, but you are going to get it.
All right.
Top 5 hip-hop MCs of all time.
Oh, man. I got to say Eminem. Got to say Jay-Z. I have to say, I personally like Mos Def also. Top 5.
I'm giving you 5. Have you seen, by the way, the Chris Rock movie called Top 5?
No.
Okay. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay, you should watch it.
Okay.
It's called Top 5, and the reference is Top 5 hip-hop MCs of all time. And so the whole movie, they're asking it's a film, right? But the characters in the film are asking each other about their top 5 favorite hip hop MCs. You got to watch it. But anyways, so after seeing that movie, it's an amazing conversational piece piece, I find, for anybody that has any love for hip hop or has for any number of years, anyways, right?
Sure.
And so I find it to be a great. So you got Eminem, Jay-Z, and Mos Def.
Yeah,
And
I
who
would
are your
say
other two?
Common is in there also.
Okay.
Yeah, Common.
Yep.
And who would number 5 be? Gosh, this is such a, that's so tough. Like in my brain right now, I'm like, okay, who would be a really good fit for this? And then I'm like, well, I don't want to say this person. And
Take your time. Take your time. Listen, this is an important answer.
Right?
And
because
as
as soon as I say number 5, I'm excluding so many awesome MCs,
yeah, but
right?
you're allowed, right?
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, you know how I'll buy you a little time here in your answer. What I'll usually do when I have this conversation with people that love hip hop, I'll be like, who are your top 5? Because I'll ask the question first, and then they'll tell me their top 5, and then they'll turn around to me, they'll be like, who are your top 5?
Yeah.
And I'll intentionally pick 5 that they didn't name so that we can have a total of 10.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Sure,
So
sure.
I always
Well, that's
ask
coming.
Yeah.
That's coming. That's coming.
You're going to flip the lightning round question on me?
Man, for number 5, gosh, this is such an important one. This is probably the most important thing that we've talked about,
Yeah,
right?
I would say so.
Gosh, who
I
would this
say
number
so.
5 be? Even though they're awesome, I don't want to say Biggie and Tupac because it's just kind of like, that's expected. So I don't want to say that.
You're allowed.
Huh?
You're allowed.
You're allowed? Okay.
But you only have one though. You can't say them both.
I know. Okay, I'll throw Biggie in there. Just to go ahead and put that in there.
That's a good choice.
Yeah. So how about you? How about you?
You're gonna throw it back on me. Let's see. You picked Biggie. So most of my stuff is going to be East Coast, New York City stuff, and it's also going to be 90s.
So
stuff.
Nas is probably going to be in there.
I would probably put Nas in there. You already named Biggie. I will tell you actually who really influenced me very early on in a deep and meaningful way and getting me into hip hop was, I would say Chuck D from Public Enemy.
Oh, nice.
I would say maybe Guru from Gangstar.
Okay.
Would be very high on that list for me. What is that, 3? I would say,
It's tough, right? As it starts coming to an end, it's like, man, because you start excluding a lot of people.
you know who I might even say, who I feel like it would be New York City based stuff. I mean, almost all my stuff is going to be East Coast. I mean, I do have appreciation and love for like certain stuff that came out of the West Coast, but for me, it's like, East Coast is really where it's at. I might say, what I might even put in there that some people might think was controversial? I might even put Heavy D in there because I feel like some people feel he was kind of a little bit on the pop sort of side of things, but I feel like his skills and what he contributed was really huge and really significant. I think his body of work was enormous and really significant. So I might even put Heavy D over there. I'm trying to think about people that influenced me personally,
I was influenced a lot by like Ice-T and Ice Cube, even though they're not like really high on the MC level.
Yeah.
It was just like, at that particular time, it was like, man, these guys are so cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that side of it, like these days, Ice-T he wouldn't stand a chance.
Right.
But back then it was like, man, it's just so cool. It sounds so cool how he says stuff.
I mean, Ice Cube has had longevity.
Yeah.
I mean, and Ice Cube is
without question.
widely regarded. I mean, I saw, somebody with Snoop Dogg was on a late night show and somebody said top 3 rappers of all time. And he said Ice Cube was in there for him.
Nice.
Nice.
I personally wouldn't put him in a top 10.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I might have to say Rakim.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like, just in terms of like, people that took the whole thing to another level, you sort of kind of have to say Rakim in there, to give that props. But yeah, I think I'm probably at my 5. But
right.
I mean, East Coast stuff, Naughty by Nature, EPMD, DOS Effects, those kind of, those kind of groups, I think had a lot of influence on me.
Yeah, for sure. They had a lot of influence on the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a great time.
Amazing.
You know what I mean? Like when all of that was happening, man.
90s
what a great
hip-hop
time.
was just
changed the world.
It was amazing. I don't know if I told you about this. Since you love hip hop, you'll appreciate this. So I was down in Medellin, Colombia last year for a month. And there is a community there called Comuna 13, community number 13, right? And that community was, this was a number of years ago, maybe a decade and a half ago or so. There was the government committed a large human rights massacre there, and they massacred a bunch of civilians and stuff. They said the community was harboring the, rebels, FARC, I think, rebels, where they said were harboring there, or whatever the pretext was, and they went in and they just mowed down like a huge part of the civilian community. It was a terrible massacre. It's pretty high profile. But anyways, what happened was the community, as they were rebuilding the community, they decided to rebuild it on the pillars of hip-hop culture. And so the community is first and foremost street art all throughout the entire community, right? Which is a combination of, different images or pictures that are significant to the artists and the people in the community, or things that make them think of positive things. But also there's a mural of Rakim in the community, and there's like all of this like hip hop iconography there as part of the street art.
Nice.
And they have a hip hop community center where they teach kids as young as 5 years, starting as young as 5 years old, how to MC, how to DJ, and how to breakdance.
That's awesome.
It was unbelievable. And so we took a tour of this community, and our tour guide was one of the top rappers in Colombia, personally gave us the tour. And then he did a hip-hop workshop with our tour group. And basically showed, it's like, this is how we teach the kids that are like 5, 6, 7 years old how to rap, and he did this hip hop workshop with us. And then they did a graffiti workshop with us, and they were showing us graffiti techniques for how to use the spray paint and all this kind of stuff. And then they invited us to join in a breakdancing class that they were having for like 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
I bet.
It was amazing. And what I'll do is I'll send you this link, and I'll put it in the show notes too for people that are interested. This rapper who gave us the tour, Jaco, his name was, he actually did a TEDx talk in Medellin about the significance of hip hop and how it had influenced their community. So he's talking about how, it originated in the South Bronx, but it wasn't, in originating in the South Bronx wasn't just an African-American art form. It was in large part a Latino art form as well, right? As all these, hip-hop artists and DJs in the South Bronx are coming out, we're also Latino, and the difference to being African-American, and that Spanish language connection and all of this made it very highly relevant for, colonized and oppressed, communities of color all around the world, and that they resonated with that, all this kind of stuff. And so he gives this whole TEDx talk about the significance of hip hop and how their community adopted and how they're using it for, the revitalization, the rebuilding of their community. I mean, just unbelievable stuff.
Nice.
I mean, just amazing.
Nice.
So
that's incredible. Yeah, that they rebuilt a whole community on that. You know what I find crazy about stuff like that is like when people first started making hip hop.
Yeah.
Right. Like they had no idea. Right, they were just doing it because, like, hey, this is cool. This is fun. I love riding these beats or whatever. And then it's like, next thing a community is being rebuilt in Medellin, Colombia, from what they started. It's incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
So, all right. So that was a long answer to the lightning round question.
Sure. Yeah.
We're
so maybe not so lightning. That was just kind of like thunderstorm.
Like the thunderstorm. Yeah. It's like the thunderstorm is rolling around. Okay. The next question is, what would you say are your top, 1, 2, or 3 sort of favorite, either they can be YouTube shows or they can be podcasts or they can be blogs, but, content that you consume that you find valuable that you would recommend to other people? Top 2 or 3.
I like SciShow because I like to learn things, and they basically take the knowledge of humans basically, and they put it into bite-sized clips. Like if you want to learn about, why do you get a cold, like that kind of stuff. They just give you all these bite-sized clips of information, which is great.
And what's the site?
SciShow.
Yeah, how do you spell it?
SCISHOW.
Okay, is it a video?
YouTube channel.
YouTube channel.
YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah, very large YouTube channel.
Okay.
SciShow is awesome. Let's see here. Joe Rogan, of course.
The Joe Rogan Experience podcast?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I watch that on YouTube or listen to it while I'm working.
Okay.
And I really like Vsauce also, which Vsauce, he also does science-based stuff, but he doesn't upload as frequently as he used to, but like when you watch his videos, by the time you're done, you're just exhausted in your brain by all of the information that he shares. Like in reality, it makes you feel smart, but by the time it's done, you literally have no idea what's going on. But like he's presenting it in a great way, and you're like, wow, that's really good. I never even thought about that. But by the time it's over, you're like, man, I feel smart, but I have no idea what just happened to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a YouTube show also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Also a YouTube show.
All right. Top 3 travel destinations that you have ever been to that you would love to go back to, recommend to other people, so forth.
I loved Japan. Absolutely loved Tokyo. Been to Tokyo a handful of times now. Loved it. I really enjoyed Cambodia. Yeah, really enjoyed Cambodia, and of course the south of Thailand. I love, like I'm up north right now, but the one thing that I don't like about being up here is that we don't have the water that they have down there. Like I'm a big fan of the beach, and but it's so hot and all of that, that I just couldn't. Yeah, I would prefer not to live down there. But I absolutely love the south of Thailand.
Yeah, I was on the island of
incredible.
I was on the island of Koh last year for about 5 weeks and just lived right on the beach, and it was just
how incredible,
insane. Yeah. But I will say you're right. I mean, the weather up here, it's less humid. It's it's gorgeous up here in Chiang Mai. So it's amazing, and I agree. Cambodia. I was in Phnom Penh last year for a month as well. I spent about a week in Siem Reap. Siem Reap blew me away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like one of my top Southeast Asia regional recommendations. If people, I say go to Siem Reap, because those temple complexes that you will see. I mean, Angkor Wat is the most famous, but to me, some of the other ones, like in that area, were even more just aesthetically, just like stunning.
Wow,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
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 So,
I always tell people, like, when, like if I'm talking to people online as an example, and they're like, hey, I'm coming to Thailand, what should I do in Thailand? I'm like, well, you should come to Thailand, but you should also make sure that you make time to go see Angkor Wat and the stuff in that area, because, like if you're going to come this far, like if you're coming from the Western world and you're going to come this far,
right,
like you can't come over here without seeing that, in my opinion.
Agreed. Totally agreed. Yeah, I agree. Okay. So places you've never been, bucket list travel destinations. What are your top 2 or 3?
I want to go to Vietnam. I haven't been to Vietnam yet, oddly.
Yeah.
I want to do Machu Picchu.
Nice.
And Paris is on my list. I've never been to Paris, but it's been a place that I've always wanted to go. I actually have this vision in my mind of once everything is like exactly how I want it to be in my life. Like I have this moment of accomplishment that I hope I don't die before I actually say, okay, well, I'm just going to book a ticket, right? But I have this vision of myself sitting outside of a cafe somewhere in Paris.
Yeah.
My laptop is sitting there on the table, and then I can see the Eiffel Tower in the background. That's like my vision of like, okay, like this is exactly how I want everything to be. Everything is like right on point. This is my moment right now.
Paris, I feel, is a city that lives up to the hype. I feel that it does.
Nice.
I mean, everybody's like, oh, Paris, it's this, it's that, and this is the Paris of the whatever region. And this is, it's this like huge, that kind of thing. And you're like, is it really, by the time I get there, is it really going to be all that? I kind of feel that it does live up to the hype.
See, now I'm even more excited.
Listen, I love Paris. I mean, I've never lived there for an extended period, but when I go through Paris or I spend time there, stop over for 4 days or something, I have nothing negative to say about Paris. I really like it. And Machu Picchu is amazing. I did that about 2 years ago. I mean, that's also lives up to the hype. That's an extraordinary experience.
So you just reinforced both of those.
Listen, man.
What about Vietnam? What do you have for Vietnam?
So actually, I've only been to Ho Chi Minh City for a long weekend, but I'm going for a month. March, I'm going to go to Da Nang.
Okay.
And I'll be there for a month.
Okay.
So if
nice.
you want to come visit, man.
I'll
be around. Yeah. It's
yeah.
It's Central Coast. So it's on the water.
It's on the water. Yeah.
And then easy access to either if you want to go north to Hanoi, you want to go south to Ho Chi Minh City, or you want to just hang out on some of those cool beach towns. I will be there for a month, brother. So you got to invite to come over.
And that's in March.
We'll hang. Yeah.
That's great because that's smoke season here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want to get out for a little bit. On the water, you got a standing invitation, my friend.
Okay, awesome.
Right,
yeah, thank you.
Okay, and sort of last question, and then I want you to tell people how they can get a hold of you. What would you say would be did you have one, if you were to pick one sort of most influential book or resource, in your entrepreneurial journey that really inspired you, motivated you, moved you, that you might want to, recommend or pass on to somebody else?
Yes. And this is funny because it reads like a children's book.
Okay.
Right. I read this book a long time ago. I think I was like, I was 20, I believe, when I read it. And, I had already gotten started on the entrepreneurial journey, so to speak, but I wasn't like really in tune in terms of thinking about the lifestyle and thinking about how you can, leverage your position to, create greater good and all of that good stuff. And there's a book called Rhinoceros Success.
Okay.
Right. And at the time, this book, basically, after I was finished with it, like it's so easy, you can read it in like an afternoon. But for whatever reason, the way that the information was delivered in that book really resonated with me at the time. And it basically made me commit to saying, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to stay on this path. And no matter what, I'm going to keep, keep walking down my own road, so to speak, instead of trying to make sure that I'm, hey, I'm doing this because, people say you should do this, or I'm doing this because people should do this. It basically inspired me to make that commitment to say, okay, no matter what, I'm going to keep walking down this path. If it goes well, awesome. If it doesn't go well, then I'm going to keep going until I can figure out how to make it go well. And if it means that I have to die trying, then that's what I'm going to do. But if it means that, I can also keep educating myself and all of that in order to make things work out, then that's what I'll do as well. But this is the path that I want to be on, and I'm going to commit to that path. I actually, which you can't see this on the show, but I actually got a tattoo to remind myself that was the path that I wanted to be on, so that every day when I got out of the shower, I would see in the mirror and remind myself that this is the path that I want to be on.
That is amazing. Do you remember who the author is of the book?
Scott Alexander.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually like a 3-part series, but the one that got me started was Rhinoceros Success, and it's ridiculous. Like when you read it, you're just reading through it, and you're just kind of like, wow, this is just like a kid's book. But for whatever reason, different things resonate with different people, right? And for whatever reason, that book just really made a huge impact on me in terms of committing to that life.
Incredible. So we'll put the link to that book in the show notes as well. And then how can people find you, Nick? I mean, the first thing I want to do is certainly encourage people to check out your YouTube channel. I have spent a bunch of time watching it since you and I met at the conference, and the amount of highly substantive, free help content on there for wherever you are in your video journey, including super beginners who are about to start a channel, in terms of getting off the ground, what are the first steps, what mistakes to avoid, how to do this stuff. I mean, it's all there. So the first thing I want to do is send people to your YouTube channel, and then, they can follow you on social or connect with you however they want. So how do they do that?
You can find me on my website, nicknimmin.com. And then, all roads lead to Rome from there. So one thing I also want to say for anybody listening, as far as my YouTube channel is concerned, like Matt was saying, I give freely on the channel. Like, it's not a sales pitch, or anything like that. Like, I give freely on the channel, and my thing with that channel, the main thing that I'm trying to accomplish there is basically creating ripples of inspiration and knowledge to help other people that are wanting to get into video. Because being somebody that is in the space of sharing information that helps other creators gives me the opportunity to help those people reach other people in a better or more efficient way. And because of that, I give freely all of the information that I have on my YouTube channel, and it's not a sales pitch. So definitely go over there if you want to learn anything about making videos or YouTube.
Okay, and then if people want to follow you on social and stuff, they can get all that through your website?
Yeah, all that through my website or from my YouTube channel, either one.
Okay, fantastic.
Nick Nimmin everywhere. NickNimmin. That's my handle everywhere.
Right, fantastic. All right, well, Nick, thank you so much for being on the show, man. This was awesome.
Awesome, yeah, thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, buddy.
Be sure to visit the show notes page at themaverickshow.com for direct links to all the books, people, and resources mentioned in this episode. You'll find all that and much more at themaverickshow.com.
Would you like to get Maverick Investor Group's white paper on real estate investing for digital nomads? How to buy U.S. rental properties from anywhere in the world and finance an epic international lifestyle? Just go to themaverickshow.com/nomad. The report is totally free and available for you now at themaverickshow.com/nomad.
Are you following Maverick Investor Group on social media at Invest Maverick? You'll get exclusive content such as behind-the-scenes footage, travel adventures, and tips on real estate investing and lifestyle design. Follow Maverick Investor Group on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat, all at Invest Maverick.